What's up, y'all? It's your boy Niner Faithful. How's everybody doing today? Hope everyone had a blessed week. We are on a very special episode of Niner Faithful Radio. We are on the last episode before we finally have Niner football back in our lives. We have made it through the dark days of the off season, and all the empires said, Amen. Amen, brothers and sisters. So we finally got the initial 53-man roster going on. So we're going to go ahead and break that down today and get in the cuts in our 9-man practice squad and, give a little opinion on our initial 53. But before we get started today, I went ahead and put out the question on Twitter and our Facebook weekly polls that we do, that who should be our starting free safety week 1 against Tampa Bay. Should it be Jimmy Ward or Travarius Moore? And no surprise, on Twitter, Travarius Moore won hands down. He got 71% of the votes compared to Jimmy Ward's 29. Now, it always seems to be like this every time we do a weekly poll. Twitter is usually one or the other. Like, it's usually a wide margin. Facebook tends to be a little bit closer in the margins. Travarius Moore got 53% of the votes, and Jimmy Ward got 47%, which pretty close to 50-50. Not too far off. So before we get started, going through the cuts and the final 53-man roster, there's a couple of little bit of tidbits that came out and everything. The Niners have waived injured, or was waived/injured. It's waived with the injured designation. Former 7th-round pick Adrian Colbert and Andrew Lauderdale. So the teams will come up with injury settlements with those players, and they'll be released. It's sad to see Adrian Colbert falling from grace. I mean, he was our starting free safety last year, and there really wasn't any real competition as far as anybody who really pushed him for that job. I mean, they pretty much handed him the job and was like, yeah, you're a starting free safety. Go ahead, do your thing. And, as we all know, he had a pretty rough year. Ended up injured. And if we all remember, the saga of Adrian Colbert, I think, will be summed up like this. We all seem to forget that he was a 2017 7th-round draft pick as a corner. The team had originally signed him as a corner, and it was looking like he wasn't even going to make the roster. And because of an injury to Jimmy Ward, that actually ended up opening the door for him to go over to safety, and, the rest is history, as they say. We all know he was a big contributor to the resurgence of the team in the end of the 2017 season. So, with that being said, also the team has placed running back Jerick McKinnon on season-ending injured reserve. That's very sad to see. My heart breaks for Jerick McKinnon. I thought that he was going to be traded if he was healthy, and all that seemed to be reconfirmed during just the way training camp was going. He wasn't really ever on the field. So that was concerning from the get-go. I remember going even as far back before free agency and everything was made, was that there was very little progress made. I mean, he couldn't get on the field. And so with no anybody being able to get on the field. You know, it's very hard to. You know, they say the best ability is availability. So, you know, it was very sad to see Jerick McKinnon, you know, not able to make the initial 53-man roster, and his season will be done. And possibly, very likely, he may never see the female. He never see the field as a Niner. In all actuality. So that's very tragic to see. Oh. So moving on, we also have the cuts to announce, and the other news to announce that also Nick Williams was put on injured reserve as well. And then tight end Garrett Selleck was placed on the reserve PUP list. And so he will miss at least the next 6 weeks, or the first 6 weeks of the season. I believe if probably we're seeing the end of Garrett Selleck maybe. Now, we'll get to this tidbit a little bit later. But there is an interesting little thing where maybe Garrett Selleck might not be done. So we'll get to that when we go over the roster, the way the rosters broke down. But last little tidbit, the NFL placed Kyle Nelson on the reserve suspended list. So he will not count against the Niners roster and will have to serve the remaining 6 games of his 4-game suspension for, I believe it was PED use. I could be mistaken on that. Don't quote me on that, but I believe that's what it was. So, since we don't have to go put asterisks by everybody's names and everything like that, I'm just going to go ahead and break it down like this. The practice squad, as announced this morning, now, of course, this could change. There's only one, I'll read the practice squad, and there's only one way change that I see for coming. But okay, so the practice squad is linebacker Demetrius Fendigan-Foles, defensive lineman Kevin Givens, which is awesome. I'm so glad we got him onto the practice squad, y'all. Safety Marcel Harris, which is when, I'll get to that in a second. Malik Henry, wide receiver, Elijah Lee, linebacker, and guard Ross Reynolds, Jeremiah Villaloga, defensive lineman, and running back Jeff Wilson Jr., which I am so surprised we got Jeff Wilson on the practice squad, y'all. I thought it was a done deal. I thought he was somebody was going to pick him up and put him on their 53 for sure. Man, I thought that was going to happen for sure. That was crazy. I'm so happy we got him. Marcel Harris, Ross Reynolds, and Kevin Givens are the ones I'm really, and even Demetrius Fendigan-Foles played a good preseason. So these are nice players to have. So I'll go ahead and give my little notes on the practice squad and everything like that after I go ahead and read the 53-man. Well, no, we'll do it right now. So, okay. I have a feeling, so Katavius Streets went ahead and made the 53-man roster. Now, he will be put on injury reserve with a designation to return. As everybody knows, we get 2 of those a season. So he'll be one of our 2. I haven't heard anything as far as anybody else being placed to be the second one. So, and I believe it can be any point during the season. I don't believe that it has to be by a certain week. So I believe what's going to end up happening is, obviously, Jeff Wilson Jr. is going to be kept on the practice squad. If there are any injuries to running backs, he'll be called up. I understand why they didn't keep him on the roster for. I mean, I was mad because I really thought he was going to get picked up. but the thinking goes behind it. It's like how often was he really going to see the field? So that's a good point, But all that matters is we got him on the practice squad, so that's good to see. So what also I see end up happening is, obviously with any injuries, now John Lynch did, and I'll get towards those towards the other part of the notes, but John Lynch did hint at that we might be picking up a safety. So when Kentavious Streets goes on injury reserve with designation to return, look for us to fill that roster spot that is made available with the safety. Now, what I think is going to happen, and the only change I see in the practice squad coming, barring any injuries, is that if Marcel Harris is the safety that we bring up, we might have some safeties targeted. We might be in discussion with some teams as far as a trade, but maybe see that Marcel Harris moves up once Kentavious Street is put on injured reserve with the designation to return. As far as that's concerned, unless somebody signs him off our practice squad, I don't see any changes coming to the practice squad anytime soon, barring any injuries. Now, to get into the initial 53, the biggest takeaway that I have, going through the initial 53 was that we went ahead and kept 3 quarterbacks. Now, what John Lynch said is that over the last week, they had fielded plenty of calls about C.J. Beathard and Nick Mullins, but the Niners felt that they had a price. I've heard rumors of it was a 5th rounder, but John Lynch obviously didn't say the price. So they set a price and they weren't going to move out their price, and nobody was willing to pay what they wanted. So they figured, okay, well, we'll just keep 3 quarterbacks. I think maybe some teams were trying to call Kyle Shanahan's bluff, and he ended up saying that it wasn't a bluff and that they fully intended on keeping 3 quarterbacks. So there you go. Now, the more that I've thought about it, the more that I have digested it, the more it makes sense to me. Is that, look, we Jimmy G. Cool didn't have any setbacks. There's no reason to think that he didn't have, that he won't play 16 games. So, to me, what it screams is that if Jimmy does go down, as far as we know, Lynch said that Shanahan will tell the quarterbacks on Monday. The decision hasn't been made on who is the backup, but he's going to tell the players first before he announces it to the media. I don't know when Kyle Shanahan is scheduled to meet with the media. Last year he met every Monday, so I'm assuming that's what it'll be. But I guess we'll go ahead and find out tomorrow. And I'll look around the website to see if I can find anything about, as far as coaches' schedules this year and everything, but I wasn't able to find anything so far. But to me is that C.J. Beathard's better than anything you're going to find that's going to be available on the streets this year, as of right now. So, do you want to bring in a quarterback who doesn't know your, C.J. Beathard, this is his 3rd year in the system. So he clearly knows the system. And so do you want to bring in a quarterback that you handpicked, that you know what you're getting with C.J. Beathard as far as the preparation and, all that, toughness, things of that nature. The lights aren't too big for him. He knows your system. It's his 3rd year in the system. He's had more snaps than Jimmy Garoppolo in the system. So, I'd rather have C.J. Beathard if Jimmy G. Cool does go ahead and go down. I'd rather have C.J. Beathard be the then backup quarterback because obviously, Nick the Raider Killer Mullins would become our starter. That's not official. That's just what everybody assumes. I'd rather have C.J. Beathard be my backup than some quarterback who was an insurance salesman last week. That doesn't know the system. Because it was brought up by, I want to say it was on Candlestick Chronicles. they had mentioned that you still have a roster to develop. You don't want it to be, if Jimmy Garoppolo goes down, knock on wood, you know, not even getting into the Kirk Cousins, is he our quarterback, is he not excluding all that from debate. They're going to be expected to win next year. So the roster still has to develop. You still want players to get experience. Learn how to win. Now, if Nick Mullins comes in, do we still have a shot at the playoffs? I would like to think. I think BDN can get you, Nick the Raider Killer Mullins can get you 1 or 2 wins, just by, his moxie. Then add in the best play caller in football. A better defense, better pass rush. I'm not saying that, we'd be in the hunt. Now, whether we would actually make it or not is a different story. But, okay, that's pretty much where I stand on the quarterbacks now. Wide receivers: Kendrick Bourne, Jalen Hurd, Marcus Goodwin, Richie James Jr., Dante Pettis, Deebo Samuel. No surprise there. John Lynch went ahead and said that, Jalen Hurd is a question mark for week 1. Obviously, Trent Taylor's not going to be available week 1. So, the Kendrick Bourne, Marquise Goodwin, Richie James Jr., Dante Pettis, and Deebo Samuel will be all the 5 that are active on game day. And so we won't have to make a decision on as far as who to leave inactive or who not to leave inactive on game days until Trent Taylor comes back or Jalen Hurd comes back. Now, maybe Jalen Hurd is an option for injured reserve with the designation to return. Now, it doesn't sound like his back injury is that significant, but, is Jalen Hurd going to be when all these players are healthy? Who are you leaving inactive? Kendrick Bourne, Jalen Hurd, Marquise Goodwin, Richie James Jr., Dante Pettis, or Deebo Samuel. Well, you're not going to have Richie James Jr. inactive, because if you're going to have him inactive, he wouldn't have made the team. So you're not going to have him inactive because he's your primary punt and kick returner. Obviously, Dante Pettis is not going to be inactive. He's going to be one of your starting receivers. You're not going to have Marquise Goodwin inactive. You're not going to have Deebo Samuel inactive. So it's either going to come down to Jalen Hurd or Kendrick Bourne. You've seen what you can get from Kendrick Bourne. Kendrick Bourne's been, albeit not at a Pro Bowl level, but he's been a productive NFL receiver. I honestly think Jalen Hurd's going to be inactive most of the year. I shouldn't say Jalen Hurd's going to be inactive most of the year. I just think that I was surprised. I thought he would mysteriously end up with an injury that, cost him his rookie year, i.e. Joe Williams. But, he'll play, and I think he'll have a role on this team. And honestly, I think it'll be dependent on who's producing. And with this, if Marquise Goodwin isn't producing, then, you'll sit him down and have Jalen Hurd come in. But I really think it'll be a battle between Kendrick Bourne and Jalen Hurd on who's going to be active game days. Offensive line, we went with 8. Joe Staley, Lincoln Thomas, Weston Richburg, Mike McGlinchey, Mike Person, obviously our starters. Ben Garland, Justin School, and Daniel Brunskill as our primary backups. I'm very concerned with Justin School as our swing tackle. I would have really liked us to try to make a trade, but apparently there wasn't one available or they didn't feel upgraded. Now, he did play better against the more he played, and he played well against San Diego, but I think that's more because look at the competition he was going up against. But now, I won't hold it against him, because if you're going to be the type of player that's literally just one snap away from being an NFL starter, you should have dominated in that Thursday night game against the Chargers, and he did. So you cannot not dock the man. But okay, we're going to go ahead and get through this quick. Tight ends: George Kittle, Ross Daly, Caden Smith, Levine Tololo, No surprise there. I'm actually 4 is kind of a lot, but a little concerning. But no surprise there. I thought Kane Smith would have been gone to the practice squad, but maybe they couldn't get him through. Running back, fullback, Tevin Coleman, Matt Breida, Raheem Mostert, and Kyle Juice check. No big surprise there. Defensive lineman, we kept 10. A lot of people are saying that's a lot. It's the deepest position on the team. Why not keep the most of your deepest position? But DeForest Buckner, Nick Bosa, D Ford, Eric Armstead, Solomon Thomas, DJ Jones, Ronald Blair III, Kentavious Street, which I already said is going on injured reserve for destination to return, so he'll technically will have 9 defensive linemen. But Julian Taylor and Sheldon Day, I think the reason Julian Taylor made the team is he's an eventual replacement for Eric Armstead. But linebackers, Quan Alexander, Fred Warner, Dre Greenlaw, Mark Nazocha, and Aziz Al-Shair. It took me a second to think of to say it, but it looks like my prediction is going to be right. I started off, training camp, and then probably I think since OTA has been saying Dre Greenlaw, and looks like he probably is going to be our starting Sam backer. I would think maybe Mark Nazocha, but I think he's more special teams. But looks like you're going to see my boy starting week 1, Tampa Bay. Can't wait, baby. Cornerbacks, Richard Sherman, Akilla Witherspoon, K'Wan Williams, Jason Perrette, DJ Reed, and Emmanuel Mosley. Good to see Emmanuel Mosley make the team. I wanted them to keep Emmanuel Mosley on the team. Dante Johnson gone. No surprise there. Safety, now we went kind of light, and, I'll say that I feel less worse now that we kept Marcel on the practice squad. But Jimmy Ward, Jaquaski Tartt, and Travarius Moore, I don't see. I mean, it was clearly a numbers game why they didn't keep Marcel Harris on the 53-man roster, because you can't assume that Jaquaski Tartt and Jimmy Ward are gonna. You have to have depth at safety. You can't assume that the players that they'll remain healthy throughout the season. Now, I would love that. I'm not wishing injuries. Knock on wood. I hope they stay healthy, but future results are always past results are always a dictation of future events. So I mean, they've been injured majority of their career. They're only assuming they're going to get injured again. But Jimmy Ward did get his one injury out the way, so maybe that's a good sign. Specialist Robbie Gould, kicker Mitch Wishnowski, punter, and your long snapper is Colin Hobel, with a decision having to be made after Kyle Nelson comes back from his suspension. Now, we have a little programming note. We're going to go ahead and cancel fan interaction Tuesday this week, but we will be back Wednesday to do a Niners pregame show. We're going to do a preview of Week 1 of Tampa Bay. We haven't decided whether it's going to be a preview of Week 1 or a preview of the entire season, but we will be on Wednesday, most likely Wednesday, with our preview show. So I'm trying to work on a special guest to come in the studio with me again, and we're going to go ahead and get that out and then really get into depth of that. Also this week, I'll probably record it here pretty soon, but this week we will have the return of This Date in Niner History. I will be going over a special date in Niner History every week. It'll come out of a separate video. I'll probably have it just come out every Sunday, even though it'll be recorded on a different day. It'll just be scheduled to come out on Sundays. Before we go ahead and get out of here, I'd like to remind everybody to go ahead and shop Niner Faithful Radio Shop for officially Niners gear from Niners Shop 49ers, NFL Shop.com, Fanatics.com, Target, eBay, and more. Visit NinerFaithfulRadio.com/shop or like us on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. Join our Patreon's reward program for as little as $1 a month. You can get special perks like 10% off of Niner Faithful Radio Shop and invite to join me and my special co-hosts on a segment of Niner Faithful Radio and much more. Go ahead and visit www.patreon.com/Niner Faithful Radio. Go ahead and go to cgiant.com. Use the promo code NinerFaithfulRadio, all one word, and save on all theater, concert, sporting event tickets, and concerts, as well as help out the show. That site again is cgiant.com, and the promo code is NinerFaithfulRadio. Of course, everybody knows about our 4,200 watch minute, 1,200 subscriber contest on YouTube. All you have to do to win is be a subscriber and like our videos, and you will get a chance to win a ticket to a Niner game, an invite to tailgate at Empire Row, and a ticket to go to the Niner Museum at Levi Stadium. Winner will be announced as soon as we reach 1,200 subscribers and 4,200 watch minutes. Wanted to ask a question, or we're canceling fan interaction Tuesday this week. Participate in our weekly polls for prizes. Each week on Facebook and Twitter, we have a weekly poll where all you have to do to win is vote, and we go ahead and pick out a person at random to win a prize. Visit NinerFaithfulRadio.com to read all our blogs from Nothing But Niners and Sports League, get the show notes, and see all our advertising and sponsorship packages, as well as events that we're going to be going on. We've got our meet and greet and the home opener tailgate flyer that will be coming on the website later today. If you're listening to us as a podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play Music, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spreaker, Blueberry, or TuneIn, please subscribe, or CastBox, please subscribe and give us a review. It really helps out the show. If you're watching us on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button and hit the bell to make sure you don't miss a video. Also, give the video a thumbs up and comment on what you thought about the show. We shall see y'all next week, or we'll see y'all Wednesday or this week, later on this week with our preview show. Till then, we'll see y'all then. Same bad time, same bad channel. Till then, faith, love, and happiness. Go Niners.